Welcome back to the Think Strong podcast, episode number unknown because we're going to keep it anonymous. But it's good to be back. I'm here with my co-host,
Maka.
We are fully inside the place. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Viewers and, well, only viewers because listeners can't see, but they might know what month we're in due to what's on my face.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm trying to keep the secret because I just ditched the beard entirely. What's new with you? Anything?
Apart from my humongous mustache, not much really.
No. I's been giving you a bit of jip.
Yeah, I'm glad this pod was is being recorded 4 weeks after the last one.
Yeah.
As a one-eyed bandit for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Just add into your mysterious aesthetic just to keep the Bamboo members guessing.
Yeah. Is he winking at me?
Yeah.
No, he's just looking peculiarly at the movement I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just pulling some sort of mysterious face. I'm fully caffeinated this morning, and for that reason my tinnitus has doubled, so might have to speak clearly for me. It's going to be an interesting episode, this one. We're going to get into some historic things. We're going to channel our inner history podcast, mainly because I've been listening to too much Finn versus History, which is nothing related to fitness, but we can draw some connections along the way.
Before we do start, I have something that I just remembered from yesterday for you.
Oh yeah.
A new movement.
That
I saw in the gym.
Yeah.
A half rep wall ball, half the way down, throw up to the target, catch the ball, slam it into the floor, re-catch it halfway up onto the wall ball target.
Nice.
Awesome.
And how was the execution?
Awful.
I've never seen this movement before, but I can just tell you it's being performed absolutely fucking horribly.
Yeah, that just came into my mind there.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few cool wall ball variations. Probably my favourite one is where you don't use a wall ball, you use like a 15 kg med ball and you just stand and like net ball throw it at the target.
Yeah.
And
why is it coming down so fast?
Yeah. And why do you have to stand sideways to catch it like underarm? God, I should have come armed with some more mysterious movements I've seen.
Yeah, that was just one I saw yesterday.
One of many.
I'd introduce it to the pod.
Yeah. We should get people to write in or send in some of the
favourite.
Some of the rarest movements they've come across throughout the week.
And on the subject of movements, we're going to go into one, I think.
Yeah, what a beautiful segue. So one of the most poignant movements in functional fitness, CrossFit, and shout out to Sabre Grips for actually giving me this idea. Just a grip account, a gymnastics grip account on Instagram, and they were talking about
not a get a grip account.
no, because there's plenty of those as well. Who was Dr. Burpee?
Dr. Burpee.
Clues in the name. The guy who invented the burpee. Any guesses as to how it came about?
I know a little bit about the pathway, but I don't know I can't remember his full name apart from it has burpee in it at the end.
Yeah, nor can I, to be honest, and nor does my research.
Was it Nicholas?
Honestly, I just have seen him referred to as Doctor. So
yeah,
I
think it's Dr. Nicholas something. Oh, it's got quite a long name.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny that was his actual name as well.
Yeah.
I wonder where that originates from.
One thing that makes me laugh, well, in my own mind, it might make you laugh as well, but the burpee was obviously... the burpee was found and they used it as a fitness test, right? But then I think it was the American Army started to use it as like a baseline fitness test, and it just makes me laugh that when you see people in the gym that are useless at them, you would be shit at war. Like,
you couldn't even get into a mandatory conscription.
You can't even do the movement required as a test to get into the army.
Yeah.
Therefore, you would be useless.
It's every man in the country is going to war, apart from you, because you can't do a burpee.
Just imagine not being able to throw yourself on the floor and get up.
Yeah.
In a normal way.
And that's one of the things, is it wasn't just a test of fitness, it was a test of coordination as well, but that's kind of what it evolved into. The main thing that Dr. Burpee came up with it for was just to have something that was standardized, something that was repeatable, something that you could do like in a practical setting, and it was more of like a lab. It came from the lab. It didn't come from the gym, didn't come from like, you know, the drill sergeant or anything like that. It was just something, him as a physiologist, PhD in applied physiology from Columbia University. He just wanted to create something that was repeatable and easy to see progress with. And to start with, there was no like standing up. You'd return to like a squat position and you'd basically stay low, and you just do it for 20 seconds. It was as simple as that. But then, like you say, the military
now coined as the bottom half.
Yeah, exactly. And then developed into something that was going to be used by the US military, Second World War. And it was more of a test of coordination as well, just to assess someone's...
Which we know no one has.
Yeah, which is pretty unbelievable. When it comes to coordination, you wouldn't actually think that putting 2 feet back at the same time would be all that demanding. But I suppose when you're testing across a whole population, it's going to be quite...
it is quite interesting
exposing.
To see how people understand how they move their body in space or don't.
And it's interesting to see how the effects of weight training and training in general can actually change someone's awareness. I think you see it a lot with like adolescents, teenagers. Part of like puberty is going through a stage where your coordination is like absolutely terrible, and a lot of the time training and understanding that your kind of proprioception is kind of complemented.
I actually have a good example. We had a guy come into the gym, and his kid came and trained with him in a class. And he was like gangly all over the place, kind of in that stage. And I was like asking him a few questions before the session. I was like, "Oh, do you do like any sports or whatever?" He's like, "Oh, I started jiu-jitsu." He's like real young. In the workout, there was burpee box jump over. Requires quite a lot of coordination. And he was like just getting it completely wrong to begin with. And I was like, "You do sprawls in like jiu-jitsu?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Jump down from the box, sprawl, jump back up." So I had to give him like a constraint where he knew he could have a similarity to a movement, and straight away he could do it. But before that, his dad was just like, he was like, "Leg there, arm there, chest out," like, do you know what I mean? And his brain was just like, I was like, his head's gonna explode in a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, "Do what you do at jiu-jitsu, bang, straight on the floor, jump straight back up again."
Yeah.
So that like coordination, but also having like a visual cue or a reference that they can work to.
Yeah, that's
important.
it. Yeah, something that's relatable, something they can understand,
Yeah.
and just easily implement. That's interesting. Do you remember going through that period yourself?
I do kind of a little bit, yeah.
I think probably if you've played sports like your whole life, you're probably going to be ahead of some people. I can remember like PE lessons at school and stuff, and seeing people which hadn't played sports and like would like either just be horrendous from start to finish, or people which would like, you could see that they went in that stage and then gradually went out of it. Not saying that I was super aware and analytical of everyone's movement like during every single PE lesson. I think that would be pretty strange, but I seem to remember it looking back. But
Mason, you've got terrible hand-eye coordination. as you're
Nothing's
staring at him across the playground.
Nothing's changed. Now he just puts stickers on people's vans. No, a lot's changed for him. He's doing well. Yeah, and like with myself, I can remember like the impact of certain things within training had on coordination. Not that I felt as though I was badly coordinated by any means, but strength training being one, plyometrics being the other. Like noticeable awareness gains coming from both, which was never something I even entertained the idea of when I was starting. I was like, yeah, I'll get strong and I'll get fast, basically.
Yeah, I think the technical side came better a little bit later for me. A few of my mates were like technically better, but I developed like athletically better or faster than them. And then they didn't develop athletically and I got better technically. So it kind of like evened itself out in that aspect.
Yeah, that's interesting with sport. Often thought that about rugby as well. Is that like the kids that would mature earlier would get the physical adaptations done over and done with, so they could focus on the technical side of the game, and they could focus on having a good rugby brain for their position, and like that was as much of a head start into the next level as anything was, to be honest. But people that still had a good amount of physical adaptation to do at like the age of 15, 16, 17. You have to get that done first, because it's like your admission ticket to being able to play. It's like just need my I need my hours signed off, or my physical adaptation signed off before I can carry on.
Talent gets you there, hard work keeps you there. That old saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's kind of the details of the burpee. We kind of understand it comes from the lab rather than what you might think, rather than some like meathead trying to make people suffer. But then it was gradually turned into that throughout the military's use of it. But yeah, never meant for torture, meant for practical test of movement efficiency. And reportedly, the Dr. Royal Burpee was a pioneer in functional testing. Hang on, what have we got here? Believed that he was pleasantly surprised at the way the burpee was utilised after hearing about it.
Yeah, I think they try to use it to measure like heart rate as well. I think in the US Army.
Oh, really?
But obviously that was before World War II, I think.
Right. Okay.
So I'm not sure. They must have just been finger on the pulse.
Yeah. Quite.
Wouldn't have had a heart rate monitor then, would they?
No. So it would have been hard to manage. I think with a burpee, it is quite.
Or they might have had a heart rate monitor.
Oh, yeah,
because the future is always predicted, as we now know.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, military is always like the driving force of technology. So maybe they had something.
Quite interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of our short exploration into the burpee. But next historical topic, something we'll probably be able to go into a bit more detail in, is general physical preparedness. The foundations of that, where that came from. Again, what's your knowledge on that off the top of your head?
Bit of Soviet Union goodness coming through now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they first coined it as more of a work capacity buffering before more specific training. Then obviously go more into that specific kind of training realm with a bigger foundation, so to speak. In very simple terms, that's probably my best understanding. Now it's obviously coined as a way you train all the time for some people, which is good.
Yeah. Exactly that, to be honest. Just that Soviet coaches and members of the sports science ecosystem over there in the Soviet Union noticed the similar attributes between certain athletes and how they didn't need to differ in certain parts of the year, and they could divide their training up to general physical preparedness and then specific physical preparedness for their sport. So exactly what you said, basically, and they could spend periods of time where they could build more durable bodies, build like the basics that underpin their performance, and then they could go into their sport with a higher level of preparedness and be in a position where they could push harder in their more specific physical preparedness. So it's quite interesting to avoid injuries, avoid burnout, and that was something that the Western world perhaps struggled with a little bit more. But very interesting to see how that has kind of stayed as a mainstay in certain areas of the fitness industry and certain parts of the world maybe, but in others it's kind of followed different trends. What springs to mind is like the commercialization of fitness and the industry perhaps in the West is perhaps what drew people away from that. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, GPP is just fucking really good training, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if done properly, that like commercialization of what they think is GPP is to name a few. Like, Barry's, Les Mills,
Yeah.
but they're doing all of the movements, so to speak, body weight, dumbbell, whatever it might be, but they're just doing all the movements fucking terribly.
Yeah.
Now, that is not always the fault of the coach within that like realm, but the time domains they're working under and stuff. People that are moving poorly before they even go into that class, they're gonna obviously, if they're poorly coordinated, like we've already established, can't move their body in space. They're not strong. They don't understand movement properly. Coaches, they're just fighting a losing battle, so to speak. They have a style of session they're supposed to deliver, but that person's never going to get any help or any better, are they?
No, that's right. And I think, yeah, absolutely spot on for like what we see in today's era. But I think when we look back at maybe what kind of popularized training and exposure to the gym in general, there's two sides to the coin, because you've got the commercialization of like the fat loss industry, maybe like more so in the 80s, and yeah, like the bodybuilding side of things as well. So like, yes, it strayed away from what we would call good training, but also it's probably brought it to the surface to make it more generally known about, more popularized, so it is like a bit more common. So it's like, maybe even in the Soviet Union back in the day, or probably almost definitely if we go out on a limb, the people performing GBP were athletes that were purposely being put through this program. The everyday person wasn't making the choice, politics aside, whether they could or not. They weren't making the choice to go and train like that, because they probably weren't aware of it. Likewise, in the West, the fact that we are so far away from, or have been for many years, been so far away from just basic good quality training, we might not be anywhere near it still if it wasn't for the commercialization and the fat loss and like the shaker weights and aerobics and leg warmers of the 80s.
Yeah, it's mad how far things have strayed from what is just good for you.
Yeah.
Like, people will die on a limb saying that Les Mills is the only way that changed their life.
Yeah.
And the same with other methodologies of training. Like, people will die on a hill for CrossFit. Like, they'll die on a hill for high rocks now, so to speak, bodybuilding. But if all of those domains did more of everything, they'd probably be in a better place.
Yeah, very true. And I think it's another example of how something gets tied in with your personality a little bit. Like for good or for bad reasons, but people have an attachment to a certain thing, and just because that's what they do or what they have done. Likewise, I think we've spoken about it before, but with like the way in which that you're the one that moves your body, so you think you know best for it. Yeah. Likewise with nutrition, you're the one that puts the food in your mouth, so you think that you know the best for yourself. There's an element of that which is true, but there's also an element of like, you're actually not a professional in that field, even though you do put food in your fucking face every day. So yeah,
I think the best thing with that is like, people give up after 6 weeks of changing their habits. They'll happily have done the previous 6 years of shit habits and made no change.
Yeah.
It's just a mindset thing there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is GPP?
Are you asking for my definition? Yeah, well, let's get into the specifics of it a little bit more, for lack of a better expression, because it's general physical preparedness. But it is... Right, let me think about this. It's basic strength training, compound movements, squat, hinge, press, form of pull I would put in there as well, and probably a rotation in terms of your strength training. And then there's aerobic development, anaerobic development. And those two things can be in the way of strength training, and energy system development can be completely separate, or there could be elements of like a blended nature to it. When we look back at the way it was done back in the day, I don't know how much they were actually blending their work in terms of like
I think that's more the modern side of it, isn't it? Now?
Yeah, but I definitely think that would fall into the category.
They would have done stuff like rotational work with throwing, and obviously your energy systems are working there.
Yeah, that's true, and
it is always good to remind people that they all work at the same time.
Yeah. That's very true.
And people get very lost there, don't they?
Yeah. I think a good caveat to put on my definition there as well is probably jumping too.
Yeah.
Something for athletic development that through all of the GPP highlights and videos I've seen is actually probably a much bigger part of the real GPP than we even see featured in today's kind of take on it, which is potentially a lesson learnt for a lot of us. I
think some of the stuff that we look at or that we've seen for more weightlifters from that era, like the plyos and the jumping and the flexion and extension of the spine, when they're like hanging off bars and just like bending their spine as much as they can, the hip flexors, some pretty impressive stuff that we don't see many people doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like coming from a place with like taking your body through a full range of motion and not being afraid to do things like bend your spine and like being explosive through massive ranges of movement, where you're allowing the movement to take the priority and not like the working muscle, so to speak, which I think is something that's potentially lost a little bit in maybe coaches that come from like a bodybuilding or gem pop background, is trying to tie everything into like a mind muscle contraction, whereas sometimes, and I think to be honest a lot of the time, the movement can take priority. And if you're moving well and you're ticking all the boxes for what you need to, maybe a mind muscle connection is not going to be serving you too much. There might be different use cases where something's lacking and you might then have to go and implement a cue which is going to make you think about a muscle slightly more or a muscle group, but I don't think it's the be all and end all. I don't think it's number one. I don't know what you think about that. It's funny because GPP that is science from back in the day, right? But now we're in an era where everyone's science based, but it's so far away from what was science then. But now we're seeing that being brought back in, which is good. So they just put science in front of whatever they're saying to try and make it look or sound cool. Like we've all seen what's the one at the minute? The guy with the foam roller over his arm. Even the names are funny, aren't they?
I know some of it is like satire, but still, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone mad.
It's how long is it going to take for the science just to go back to like lift heavy, jump high, train hard,
and just like bully more people in the gym?
Yeah,
bring back bullying.
Like kick as many tripods as you can, etc., etc. So yeah, on a whole, GPP, broad foundational work, whether it's conditioning or strength. SPP, specific physical preparedness, something we could go into a little bit more now. Specialized sport focused training. So whether you are a weightlifter, whether you're a runner, whether you are whatever, you're going to start tailoring things off to what you need to for an event. And yeah, that's why GPP is so good, I think, because you can form a base for basically whatever you want to go into.
Yeah.
Whether it is in this day and age a high rocks, a CrossFit competition, a half marathon, full marathon. Yeah, I
think this is the stage of training that people they miss that all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like if you look at your program, not right now, but leading up to where you are now, like comp prepping, everything's more specific at the minute with what you're doing. But before that, you're doing movement mechanics, building your like fitness base, more fitness as a general term for all energy systems. Like now you're moving into like heavy lifting under fatigue, but because you have that foundation, gymnastics under fatigue, everything before that was generalized, wasn't it? Like still moving towards where you need to go, but very general in terms of building those qualities and the capacity for you now to just go and express what you need to within the workouts. CrossFit could do with a lot more of that in the off season, I think, so to speak. Like people just train like CrossFit, traditional CrossFit, like constantly, don't they? But they could probably do with a lot more general training. And I think weightlifting as well, like the benefits of doing that GPP are so big. Like your plyometrics, your jumping, isolated strength work, rotation, like the sport is up and down.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that your body or your joints and your bones are not rotating through every movement. I've certainly done a weightlifting cycle off the back of not much physical preparedness, and I felt it after like week 7 and 8. And I'm going to be going into a weightlifting cycle next year with Dean. But we're going to spend December just doing like GPP, getting strong, moving, rotating, jumping, to prepare for that. I think I'm a bit more conscious of it now because I'm older as well.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, because that was going to be one of my next questions. It was going to be, where do you place CrossFit between the two definitions of GBP and SPP? But no, yeah, that's...
it sits in both camps, doesn't it?
It does.
And it should have that carryover, I think.
Yeah, and it's also, when you're looking at it from different demographics, it's like, is CrossFit a CrossFit class that someone's going to be doing? Is that enough GPP for someone that just walks in off the street and that is their only training? And you know, I think that's why CrossFit had the success that it did have, because it's very close to being a yes from me. I think there is obviously elements which could be slightly different or could complement.
I think the traditional CrossFit methodology has like more variation, which is closer to GPP.
Yeah.
Now it's gone a little bit, well, for some programs and people, it's gone so far the other way where it's like they've kind of coined what the new CrossFit is. Do you know what I mean?
Strength Metcon. Yeah.
So it's got a little bit lost.
That's a very good point, because like the original CrossFit.com days, there was days where it was just like ring muscle up development, and it's not even like there's no like intensity to it at all, really. It's just purely development, purely like accessory work essentially. But yeah, like that's been somewhat commercialized in itself, isn't it? But at the end of the day, you can't hold business owners against business owners when they do in one way have to provide some sort of product, don't they? A standardized experience. So it's a tough one. Where I would say CrossFit fits between the two definitions, especially if you're looking at someone that's trying to compete. I was trying to relate it back to my own training, like you were saying, and it is somewhat like you said, between the two. You've got the general physical preparedness of making sure you're just strong, powerful and durable across as many movements as you can, but you've also got the specifics of the skill related stuff, like being able to perform 15 unbroken ring muscle ups, kipping ring muscle ups, which is not really something that anyone is gonna have to do if you're looking at it like in a generalized way. Being able to do a few might be a trait which is going to complement some other things, but there is also specific performance markers which need to be pushed for competition as well. So it is kind of a blended definition when you look at CrossFit, which is obviously interesting when you try and relate it back. But one thing that CrossFit has done, I suppose, is made it a bit more accessible. Purely, you could even look at it purely from equipment in a gym. Before the days of CrossFit, I'm not sure there were too many like rigs set up in gyms. Yeah, which are so multi-use.
Kettlebells were around, weren't they? They've been around for donkey's years.
Yeah, but like frequency of them in the gym.
Yeah.
Perhaps not so much.
Yeah, that used to just be a thing on its own, didn't it?
Yeah. And then, like, yes, dumbbells, but, dumbbells normally for, like, bodybuilding purposes on a massive rack in front of a mirror.
The kettlebells thing makes me laugh. I used to do loads of it back in the day.
Yeah.
I actually do enjoy using them, but, people just, like, die on that hill of kettlebells is the only way.
And they don't work unless you do, like, throwing rotational catches.
Yeah, thanks, mate. There's another hole in the gym floor because of you, because you can't catch.
Yeah, I mean, there's 101 different avenues we could go down with strange movements, like we opened up with, to be fair. But yeah, that kind of brings us on to where do you think GPP lives today, maybe outside of CrossFit, or where should it live in people's training?
I think for Gen Pop, GPP has like all the fundamental or the basic movement patterns that we should, like you already mentioned: squat, hinge, push, pull, lunge, locomotion, energy system, running or whatever. Core you would add in as like rotation, anti-rotation, flexion, extension, moving in all different planes. That is pretty much what everyone needs in their program, right?
Yeah.
If somebody's going through like it's all goal dependent as well, but like we said, most people are moving away from like just bodybuilding, just CrossFit, just Hyrox. Guess you could call it hybrid training.
It has been coined as that. I've heard murmurs of it.
But yeah, I think it should sit in a place where if someone is going through some specific work, when they're in their downtime or the off season, why not just bring all of that in? From a health standpoint, longevity is a word that's coined quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Had quite a funny interaction with a bodybuilder yesterday in the gym. He was training with his sister in class, and he obviously couldn't be bothered to go and like grab dumbbells for himself. I was just using hers.
Yeah.
Obviously way too small for him.
Yeah.
I was just having a bit of banter for him. I was like, "Oh, how do they feel?" He's like, "I'm training for longevity straight away," just because it was way lighter than he would normally use. And I was like, "That is great banter from him."
Was he doing science-based hand cleaning jokes?
Yeah, it was so good. But yeah, it was just a good giggle in class.
Yeah, no, that's good.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think, Gen Pop kind of goes without saying, like, elements of that are going to be super valuable, even if you're training 2-3 times a week. If you were to base your training around those
getting a big bang for your buck.
Those pillars, yeah, absolutely. I hear people that, you know, they say, "Oh, I'm really struggling. Like I'm following like push pull legs or whatever," and they don't realistically get to any kind of meaningful training stimulus with a lot of this stuff because they're so involved with this kind of ecosystem of like gym. You know, when people say in England especially, like, "Oh god, we're going gym," that to me in my head
gonna bang gym,
we're gonna go bang gym. Yeah. We've got push or we've got chest, and I think like that could work, but also like fucking just learn to do something which with a bit more like complexity. Not even a high level, like a barbell back squat or something, properly, and apply some load and apply yourself to a bit of a strength cycle. It's going to have a much more global impact on your performance, on your aesthetics potentially as well. And I kind of wish a lot more people would buy into it.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to say because we've probably been experienced to the theory of it and to doing it ourselves for a much longer period of time. Maybe it's something that people don't have a lot of faith in from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But also from like an athletic standpoint as well, strength and conditioning for sports. We've said before that I think I've been quite lucky to have good exposure to GPP in training for rugby. But
even for runners now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, people stop running, don't they, at school? And then they get to 30 and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to do a half marathon."
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks in, they're broken because they've not done anything for 4 years. It's like, just do some GPP in like 4 weeks, get into your running cycle, you probably feel tons better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many other sports as well. I think football, been watching a lot of motorsport recently, like motocross and stuff like that, and the from what we would see, the underpinning level of GPP is almost like non-existent.
Well, I have seen Max Verstappen's PT sessions, and they are some of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Like Bosu ball?
Yeah, half Bosu, foot elevated, kettlebell, overhead, whatever the fuck he was doing.
Why is it taking so long for it to...
It's mad because the forces that are applied to their bodies are insane.
Yeah. And then they go into the gym and apply 5% of that, and we're prepared now. I can't.
On the flip side, I've seen Hamilton do some pretty good like gym stuff.
Anthony Joshua was the first person that I saw from the boxing world performing like what we would call normal GPP.
Yeah.
Back squats, deadlifts. Obviously, there were some allegations that he was too stiff and all this stuff, but whether that was coming from a legitimate place or not, I don't know. But even if that is the case, he's someone that's forwarded his career by developing himself athletically, even if he wasn't necessarily like the most technical boxer in the world comparatively to other people. Compared to me and you, he might be, but
it's like
dodge, duck, dick, dive, whatever it is. I think we're gonna bring it to a close. Nice, short, sharp history episode there. Any closing words from yourself?
If you haven't done GPP, maybe try it and see how you feel.
Rather than us pointing at laughing at people, at the end of the day, we are encouraging of people to give it a go. Like I recommended 5-3-1 to someone the other day. Like incredibly effective strength program with all the boxes of GPP from a strength standpoint. I think even if you are well trained, or your training age is high, you've been like for some people like us, but you haven't been doing GPP, you're going to get a brand new stimulus. So like that training effect could be really beneficial and positive for you. And you'll be surprised with how little you need to do as well. But like we were saying, by that global response that you're going to get, especially if you've been like bodybuilding your whole life and you've never even taken like a deadlift to like a heavy 5 or something. It's going to be it'd be interesting. It might give you a new lease of life as well if you're training not as motivated as usual, or a bit of variety in there. It's good. So let us know your GPP journey and how it goes. We'll be interested. And if you do want to include any wall ball strict press or wall ball throws, or what was the one you brought up?
A bounce wall ball.
Yeah, the bounce wall ball slam. Yeah. Send in your videos. Right, we will see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.
Au revoir.